the generalized theme of all this is, the generalized mission is to get rid of Sauron. So he is technically part of the same quest as Lord of the Rings. But this is all like the background stuff. This is, because Gandalf has been around for like, I don't know, a couple centuries or something. Was it millennia? I forget. Gandalf has been around for a long while. Always slowly working towards the defeat of Sauron. And I like this idea of this is the slow part. This is the wide shot. This is the background. Going out with different people, connecting with different things. Here's another thing. In Fellowship of the Ring, they talk about the frailty of men. And Boromir's like, yes, there is weakness. Yes, there is frailty, but there is courage also, and honor to be found in men, or something like that. What frailty, precisely? What? Could someone show me how they have been frail recently? Gandalf could do that. He rides on by Rohan or whatever. And she's... that they're not doing... I don't know, exactly what are they not doing, Maybe there's internal squabbles, and not necessarily Rohan, but there's someplace else, Gondor, for instance. But there could be people unhappy with Denethor's rule, for instance. That'd be perfect. Yeah, sure. People could easily be unhappy with Denethor. We all understand that. Things you'd like to have in there. You'd like to have... I want an explanation of these elves, because I myself don't really get it. After seeing everything and thinking about it and looking things up on Wikipedia and stuff, which is how I found out Gandalf was a Maya. That's how you pronounce it, Maya. Okay, so the elves are immortal, but they're immortal to aging and disease, but not being stabbed in the chest. Okay, someone should mention that. I mean, this. And they have to leave Middle-earth. Why is that? Well, because if they don't leave Middle-earth, they will fade or diminish. And apparently they lose their immortality. Now, why is that? Apparently it's something to do with Sauron and the ring, and the One Ring, which is linked to all the other rings, including the Three Rings, which is not as much linked to his ring as the rings of men. I mean, the elves with rings turned out so much better than the men with rings, right? And then the dwarven rings, whatever happened to those? Well, apparently, Sauron couldn't corrupt them hard enough, and instead it just sort of increased their desire for gold or some crap like that. And then some of them were destroyed by dragonfire, and... Okay. Maybe one of the dwarves could mention this on The Hobbit, just as they're trudging along. I imagine there's plenty of conversations as they're just trudging along, and bickering and bantering. And just be like, a ring, the ring, 7 for the dwarf lords in the hall of stuff, just some little thing in the background, and then something else happens. So because Sauron's ring is linked to the power of the Three Rings, that because Sauron's evil, this does what do the Three Rings do? Presumably they're very powerful in some way, but what do they do? Apparently there's a deal with their attacks on Lothlorien, which are then just pushed back by the power of the ring. How does that work? Does the thing shoot lightning bolts? I mean, how does it, I like to explore all that. I also like to explore the idea in Lord of the Rings. You wonder, particularly after you've seen The Hobbit, you wonder, okay, whatever happened to the dwarves in the Lonely Mountain? What are they doing? I think there's one line from Legolas that says, what is it, Gimli says something oh, I wish I had a dwarf army, and Legolas is well, I'm sure your kinsmen are busy with their own battles or something. Because the deal was that Sauron basically sent a small army to everywhere. He was hitting everyone at once, keeping them off balance, and then, the big thing was attacking Minas Tirith. Now, you could, A, go back in Lord of the Rings and insert some more lines or something to explain that, and or B, in the bridge film, have Saruman, I think there's going to be a lot of talking, there'll be a lot of discussions about, you think talking, that's boring. Well, yeah, but the contrast is useful. I mean, we don't want to make things, boring on purpose. You're ugh. But just sort of, just sort of slower and quieter and stuff. Saruman could say, look, my best guess is that Sauron would attack several places at once, and then he'd set his main force to somewhere. I can just imagine talking with Gandalf and he's looking over a map or something, And he's like, just pointing out this place in the... I love the idea of mentioning things in Middle-earth, but not actually seeing them, you know. He just says here, you know, a few miles west of the Argonath, and without even a picture of the Argonath. And then, like, in Lord of the... Oh! Argonath! Oh! Oh! Isn't that cool? Everything should be mentioned. The demise of Moria should be mentioned. It should be something as long like, you know, we haven't heard from Moria. We haven't heard from Moria in some time. And then maybe someone could bring up the, you know, maybe more than goblins down there. We think it may be a Balrog. Gandalf would be like, well, I hope not. Sauron must be like, yeah, and in the meantime, we'll just stay away from Moria. Do you remember that scene? Yeah, I'm jumping around all over the place. Yeah, that scene in Fellowship where Saruman, where they're about to go to Moria, and Saruman's like, aha, screw you, Gandalf, you're going to fight a Balrog. And he opens like this book and there's an illustration. No, he doesn't say screw you, Gandalf. I'm just, you know, making summaries of these things. And he shows an illustration of the Balrog, and you're like, and you look at that illustration, you're like, oh, what is that? And then, when it actually shows up, freaking Balrog! Oh, now I get it! I love that thing, where in many ways, what we're doing is we're giving illustrations, as it were, perhaps literal, perhaps just, you know, people talking about it, something, of all these different places. Someone could mention Minas Tirith without necessarily going to Minas Tirith, or if we do, maybe we see a small portion of it, you know, and then it's only in the Lord of the Rings series that we come to like see the whole big city and the grand vistas and the like, oh, that's what you guys meant by Minas Tirith. That's what you guys, you know, mention 101 things, some of which never show up in the Lord of the Rings movies again, but some of which do. And you're like, oh, wait, Rohan, that was the place for the horses, right? Look, horses, Rohan. Aha, I get it. All these things. Let's see. So, dear me, so many trains of thought. So we got Gandalf was going around. Oh, the elves. I was on the elves a while ago. So then, because Sauron's evil, like his evil gets into the 3 rings or something, and then diminishes their power. But destroying the 1 ring also diminishes their power. As Glandil says at the end, that the power of the 3 rings is ended. So they have to leave. Where are they going? Well, the Undying Lands. Okay, where is that? Apparently it's actually an island somewhere, but it's like a magical island, because you don't die when you're in the Undying Lands. Like, that's nice. And there's also this sort of thing going on, like, if you go there, you can't come back. It's like going to heaven, almost. Why can't you come back? Could you just, like, get on a boat and sail east, and then... Could anyone, like, do that? Could, like, you know... How quickly does this immortality thing wear off? How quickly do people die? There's a deal with Arwen is like nearly dead in Return of the King, because Sauron's power is growing apparently. But this doesn't kill Elrond quite as well. That's the deal. Like, you know, she's going to be on one of the last ships to leave Middle Earth, and then she decides, she turns around, she goes back to Rivendell, and Elrond is there. I'm like, Elrond, are you like, is Elrond supposed to be the last guy to leave? Like, that's his deal, as being an elf lord or. So, is he gonna, like, die? I mean, in the way Arwen nearly died? But Arwen's okay, though, because he delivers the sword to Aragorn. So, what? Someone explain these elves. I want to go in Fellowship, the extended cut, where Sam and Frodo happen to see the elves leaving. I want to get to that point, and you know entirely what they're talking about. You're like, okay, elves, they're leaving, can't come back. They're leaving. Like, who's leaving first, and how quickly do they leave? And some of them are staying behind. How long do they do that? Can they, you know... Thanks. If they never made the 3 rings, would they all be immortal forever? You know, was that their deal? I don't know. I really don't. I'm gonna figure that out.